All right. Hey guys. Hi. Let's just see if we can get this going. Yes? Good? Maybe? Hi? Welcome. Yeah, no, it's not the bot. It's me. I haven't done this in ages. I'm a disaster. Hopefully I'm streaming to the right place. It's been 2 weeks since I've seen you guys at CyberBuzz Radio. I hope you guys are here. Everything is good. Let us find out if things are correct and working. I'm hoping so. Hi. All right. So I'm trying to catch up, see what people are talking about in chat. Making sure that the bot is working, making sure that people can hear me. People are getting time to wander in. Hello. All right, maybe, possibly, hopefully. Hey, so it's CyberBuzz Radio. My name is Crimson Clad. I've been away for 2 whole weeks. 2 whole weeks. You guys were probably very pleased for that fact. I'm sure that was a delight for you. So I'm back from vacation. I have missed your stinky little faces, and I thought we'd chit-chat a little bit today. Now, you can tell my setup is all fucked up. My microphone's in a weird place. Nothing's quite right. And that's what comes from being away for 2 weeks. My brain is mush. I'm still quite stressed. There's lots of things going on, but I couldn't stay away. I just couldn't stay away, friends. So while I'm untangling this cord and getting my camera properly set up and maybe make it so we're not just like all tippy and confusing. Let me know if that looks okay-ish. I don't know. So it's great to see you. Lots of things going on around the ecosystem, and also simultaneously not a whole lot at all. So I'm happy to have you here. I'd love to chat with you guys about what's been on your mind around the Hive ecosystem, with blockchain, with what's going on in tech in general, and all of that good shit. I've just missed ya. And so for those of you guys who had hung out with me on Thursday for Full Force Radio, you've had some sort of catch up about how the trip went. You kind of have a good idea of my vacation shenanigans. And for many of you, you don't even care. You don't care. You're just glad that I'm here. So I'm happy to have you guys back. I thought today we'd quickly touch on some of the big changes that have kind of come down the pipe with NFT Showroom, because of course that's a passion project for me. More beer. Yeah, agreed. I'm going to have to get a drink during the break. Agreed. I barely started on time. Let's put it that way. It's so strange how like a couple weeks away can really, really throw you off your routine. Like really badly. But yeah, so I thought we'd play some fun music. I should have put my hair back. I thought we'd play some fun music. There's lots of great synthwave that came out this week. Yes, the mosquito story, many of you heard. The disaster mosquito story. I'm not sure if I'm going to put this on Periscope. I mean, here's the thing. So many of you guys come to hang out in the Discord. So many of you are watching on mspwaves.com, which of course is the broadcasting site. So many of you guys are watching on blockchain-based solutions, which is really awesome. Vim TV, obviously our very own Hive blockchain solution. Theta is up and running, so big shout out to the people on Theta. Say hi if you're watching on Theta. Say hi wherever you're watching. You are part of this show, so please chat with us. It's very important. And apparently we've already hit 100 messages today. So that's exciting. You guys can't see that. But on the overlay, Restream lets me know that we've already said 100 things to each other in the short space of 3 minutes. So I have a good feeling about today. Now, I thought we'd do a quick kind of once over. About some of the hard fork stuff, because of course people get an antsy fucking pantsy about the upcoming Hive hard fork. And of course, there's lots going on. There's so much work being done in the ecosystem, and that can be really tricky. We talked about this a little bit a couple weeks ago, and it feels like probably for a lot of you that we haven't really moved forward from there. Hey, dude on the web. Hey, it's good to see you. So yeah, give us a shout out from wherever you're at, because your chat will show up in my chat. Our chats will intermingle. We will chat. But yeah, so now that I'm back, that's good. I've been writing some comms and doing some stuff in the background and whatnot. But one of the things that I really kind of wanted to highlight, and I wanted to give a big congratulations to all of you that I see watching right now, is that for the first time in a long time, we've been saying this, hey, bleep, you got chats for days. Chats and chats and chats. Hi to everybody who's joining us. Big shout out to Kitty Girl. God, I haven't even given her a shout out back. She gave me a beautiful shout out in her post recently, and I was on vacation, and then I couldn't answer it, and then I was going to answer it, and then I didn't, and I'm a disaster. But what I wanted to do was kind of congratulate all of you and everybody in the Hive ecosystem, because one thing that we've been saying for the past 3 years, my John Travolta, for the past 3 years or so, is it's not going to get done if we don't do it ourselves. And so we keep saying that, hey, we don't have we don't have a company, Hive as a blockchain is actually making moves to try and be like really decentralized. And the problem with that is, who's going to do stuff? Who's getting paid to do stuff? What's getting done? And I wanted to give a big shout out because one of the things that I've noticed, and one of the things that is both good and bad, a challenge and a great sort of triumph of decentralization, is that people are stepping up. And it usually only happens when people get really frustrated. So that's not the best. But what I've noticed is, for all this time, sorry, I'm trying to get my camera back in the right position here. But for all this time, we've said, oh, we need more people talking about it on outside social media, or, oh, I really wish we had an onboarding system that was a little bit easier. Oh, man, why don't we have a mailing list? Or, oh. And people are starting to realize that if I want this thing, I've just got to make this thing. And it's happening. So I want to give a really big shout out to all of you who are hustling like crazy. And a lot of these things, hey, Niall, thanks for joining us. And if I didn't say hi to you, Big Tom, hi. Revised Sociology, Solo, Swoop, Julia, Eileen, all of you. Hi to all of you. Hello. So here's the deal. We're starting to kind of reach that ledge. We are tiptoeing and approaching that edge where people are like, hey, I fucking want this thing. I'm gonna build the thing. I'm gonna build the goddamn thing. And we're starting to see it. And so one of the things that I'm doing right now in some of the stuff that I'm writing and some of the stuff that I'm sharing and some of the sort of, I guess I call it behind the scenes stuff, but what it really is stuff that nobody wants to pay for and nobody wants to do, and everybody gets mad if it doesn't get done. So what I'm trying to do is remind people that, hey, here are those things you wanted, and people in the ecosystem are doing them. Please remember not to just come to one central place, but to start exploring around, because a lot of these things are actually available. So I want to highlight some of the new onboarding services. I like Hive onboarding very much. You guys might remember, before it was even a thing, we were talking about it here on this show while it was being developed for the Hive hackathon. How much time has flown? It's only been a couple of months and it's taking off. It's been great. I'm not a huge fan of the beneficiaries thing, but I think the beneficiaries thing is really going to drive some exciting community development. And of course, there's just got to be a lot of education around that. But either way, I'm excited to see this stuff happening and I'm excited to highlight it. And so one of the things that I really want to push in the coming week as we approach the next hard fork, and maybe you guys can join me in this, is reminding people that there is no one place to go. But one of the things that has always happened is that we've been so mad. We've been so mad when a central entity hasn't done the things we want them to. And we've been so mad that we felt like a lot of discussion and a lot of this work wasn't happening on chain. And that has changed as well. So I do really want to, Big Tom, I'm definitely not knocking the potential. I'm just saying for me, as somebody who does onboarding, I personally would prefer not to have the beneficiaries. So for me, that's a big thing. And of course, personal choice. We've talked on this show for so long. Personal responsibility. One of the things we've discussed is that you're always going to find, yes, bleep. Oh, this is exciting. One of the things that I've found the most valuable is obviously tools that make the user experience granular. How many times have we said this? I'm a broken fucking record, right? So for me, I'm lucky enough that I buy, I power up, I earn. I have quite a bit of Hive. Not a ton. I'm not big. There's many of you in this room are bigger than me. Yeah, and Marco, you can. The person who gets signed up with these beneficiaries can indeed easily remove them. But for me, when I'm onboarding a newbie, and like I said, this is a me thing, and this is that blockchain personal responsibility, blockchain voluntarism thing again. When I personally onboard someone, I don't need that beneficiary, and I don't want to explain that right off the bat. I want to get them. I want them to be, yeah, I used to be bigger than you. You guys are all growing because you guys actually post. FB slow. Damn, Krim is wound up. She dropped the F-bomb a ton already. Oh, Uncle Bonehead, you're so sweet. In the past 3 years, I don't think I can't not say the F word. It has nothing to do with being wound up. You're a delight. But this is just the way I talk. Oh, gosh. So, I mean, I don't post. I personally don't post. I'm going to be because I have some great content for my vacation. But a lot of the stuff that I do and the Hive that I earn and sort of the size that I need to be is just totally part and parcel apart from what we're doing here. But let me come back to this quickly. It's just when I onboard someone, I really often end up with people who are brand new. And beneficiaries is this really cool opportunity. It's a really cool skill to learn. But for me, the explaining of that kind of comes a little bit later in the journey. And so I don't really anticipate that it's going to be something that I need for motivation. But I see very strongly that it's going to correlate to a lot of excitement, a lot of people, getting each other involved. There's hype, there's competition, there's gamification. There are so many reasons why it matters. So don't think I'm putting it down. And when room service watches this later, I'm not. I'm just saying this is another personal choice thing, and personal choice is so important to have, and it's probably why we're all here on the blockchain anyways. So forget that noise. Where I'm going with this is I want to remind you guys, and you know this already, but I do want to. I will. And for those of you who were there on Thursday for Full Force Radio, you've actually already seen some of my photos. You've seen some of the stuff that I'm going to put in posts. You got a little sneak peek at some of the new travel content, which is, that's exciting. I did say hi to Eileen. I just didn't sing it, Ron, so you didn't twig in your ears. But so what I want to remind you guys is that there is indeed a community. And one of the most important things, sing your song, hello, Eileen. We haven't gotten into the show enough that I can carry on to the next sentence. Usually I'll take a little piece of the conversation and then continue along with the story. We haven't done that yet. So there is a community for this. And we're really trying to push people into this community because for years we said, there is this evil cabal and they're in the background and they're cackling and they're rubbing their hands together and they're the worst. Those evil witness types like Krim. And actually I got a bunch of messages while I was on vacation again saying much the same. I got a couple messages from people saying they would never listen to my show again because I'm pushing that big Hive agenda. I actually got one from a friend who usually comes to the show who is refusing to come anymore because they feel like I'm out to lunch. It is what it is. You can't please everybody. Most of the time I can't please anyone. But they don't stink. Don't do that. They don't stink. They're nice. Don't say that. I'm very concerned about my armpits. So listen, we're just trying to get this one fucking statement out. And that is that there is a community now. And there was so much discussion that everything is decided without us and we never get feedback and all these things are not discussed. And so one really awesome, big, helpful amazing thing that has come out of the Hive fork and has come out of you guys being so involved is that there is a community, and it's the Hive improvements community. And we've put it in the last Hive blog update. We're pushing it everywhere. And I just want to remind you that you actually really do have a place to talk about this. And everybody's going, oh, these evil crim witness types, they never talk about anything. But that community is full. It's full of everyone talking right now. And if you want to get updates, if you want to feel empowered, if you want to find something to block and never look at, then that community does exist. And I really want to hammer that home. So for you guys, as those who are very in tune with what's going on around Hive, just remember when somebody asks, we are making a solid fucking effort to do it on chain from bottom to top, from top to bottom. And so people get really frustrated now when there isn't, a post from on Hive, like on Hive as in on high, telling you what to do, because there's open dialogue. And it's so different from the way that we used to do things. I think we all have Stockholm syndrome from the previous blockchain, which shall not be named, that we've just kind of forgotten that this is possible, but it is, and it's happening, and these changes are being made, and now people are mad. So the reality is I'm pretty fucking proud of us. So just between you and me and the wall and whoever else might be here, pat yourself on the back, because there's some great fucking things happening around the blockchain right now. And so this hard fork that we're all waiting for, hey, Melinda, this hard fork that we're all waiting for, that we feel like, oh, there's not enough. I can't see it. There aren't any big changes. There have been some really cool groundwork laid. Now, I can tell you that the estimate, and I'm hoping to get some communication done on this, but, that's always tricky. The estimate right now for having deployed code and potentially making sure that all of the actual witness nodes and getting going should be inside of 3 weeks. That's the plan. So when we released the release candidate, we talked, you guys may remember, you may not, the how many more of these hard forks are there? Well, Uncle Bonehead, how static do you plan to be before you die? You know what I mean? There are potentially infinite hard forks. Now, this one is tricky, and so I'll go over this quickly. Yay, thank you. I'll go over this because this first one really fucking matters. And the problem with this first one is we bit off a lot. We had a very specific goal as an ecosystem, and that was, if you really want to kind of put it out there, it's differentiate ourselves from Steam, but not in a way that was like, fuck Steam, we need to be different, but more like, we've had a chance to fix things that we've always been mad about. So it's time to put up or shut up. And that's a really, really important thing. Now, the problem is when we took on this hard fork and when we took on this identity of, okay, let's differentiate ourselves, but not in a way to compete, just time to actually check off some of the boxes that we need to make better. A lot of that came down to nodes are hard to run, resources are expensive, we have a bunch of dumb fucking API calls that don't make sense. And the problem is tackling that made this hard fork maybe not bloated, but it certainly has made this hard fork stretch out a lot longer because of the changes that we're making. And because of the things that are happening, it's really made this time frame not as quick as everybody wanted, and certainly not even as quick as I wanted. And so it's been this constant struggle of, fuck, the things that we're doing are so great and they're important, but also, yeah, we needed that first hard fork. We needed that. And so we're stuck somewhere in the middle. And so right now, what it's looking like is a lot of these changes, this release candidate is out. The code is frozen. And from the RPC node, we've talked a little bit about what those are, what the difference between a witness and an RPC node are, and a seed node. We've talked about those, and we can go over it again if you guys want. from the top down is where we're doing these changes, because a lot of work is being done in Hive Mind. And we've talked about Hive Mind too. But what it essentially means is every site, every app, everything that queries the blockchain, everything that says, hey, I need some information, or I've got some information for you. Oh, look, David's joined us. Good. Yeah, you know what? We need some detractors. So the reality is everything you do has to go through these API, has to go through, it honestly basically has to go through Hive Mind. If it doesn't, then it's very slow. And it's certainly not as, well, I meant my detractors. You missed the lead up in that conversation, David. I know, because I invited you to talk to me and you refused to talk to me. But the rest of them have already sent me messages saying they'll never listen to my show again. So it's a not so subtle shot, but you can't agree with everybody all the time. So I'm not worried about it. But that being said, let me get back to this. Everything has got to go through Hive Mind, and we've got to fix it. And the problem is, it's not exciting. We don't see it. We can't feel it. We don't look at it. And if you don't go really digging in the code, it's not even easy to track. And so that has made this run up to the hard fork and this point where we said, hey, code freeze, release candidate is going. Everybody goes, yay, hard fork, because that's what it's meant previously. But now, having a hard fork that is working on a ton of the underlying guts that's not even really totally blockchain related and is essentially sort of backbone work has been frustrating because it's being properly tested. In fact, there's problems being fixed and solved and found and caused and fixed and solved. And it's almost like this long drawn out period going into this hard fork has been extra frustrating because we're actually finding problems and mistakes and fixing them. And up until this point, a lot of our hard fork experiences have been, seems pretty good, let it run, and then shit breaks, right? I'm not saying that's what we're used to, but that's a little bit what we're used to. And so here we finally have a hard fork where we're saying, nope, going to take more time, got to do some more testing. Nope, we got to make sure, let's fix this bit in Hive Mind. Let's fix this bit in Hive Mind. Yep, nodes are looking good. Yep, we're fixing replay times. Yes, resource costs have come down. Yes, the RC pools are happening, solo miner, don't worry. Not this hard fork though. But what it basically means is that this first big step that we want it to be fast and, all that, has basically been like, oh shit, we got a lot to fix. Let's make sure it's right because we can't fix it again. And that has sucked. And I recognize that. So the big thing that I can recommend to you guys is if you are interested, this stuff is being talked about on chain. It's not only in the background. But I know I'm very frustrated and you're very frustrated and oh yeah, the previous hard fork with the RCs was a disaster. Yeah, hey Shadows Pub, it's great to see you. So we're in this weird spot where it's 50% for fuck's sakes. Fuck! Just hard fork. 50% that. And we're 50% like, fix it, do it right, have a second, have our second hard fork go off without a hitch, not have anything explode, not have a chain freeze. And that's a struggle. That's a struggle. 50% of me goes, do it now. And 50% of me is like, oh, yeah. Oh, it's going to be so good. Oh, yes, do it right. It's tough. It's tough, for sure. So for all of you that are joining us, hey, CryptoPie, we're just talking a little bit about some of the timing on this upcoming hard fork. And so where we're at now is starting to finish up with all of these little bits and bobs. Fuck it, do it live! I can't flip this desk. It's a standing desk. I can't. I'm not strong enough to flip it. Plus, that'd probably be the end of the stream real quick. So what I can tell you is probably around 3 weeks out. And when I say 3 weeks out, that means we're already testing at the API level. So RPC nodes and Hive Mind are already being tested. This release candidate is already out there. So within that, yeah, exactly. The ship it and then fix it mentality is also problematic, right? Sometimes it's better, sometimes it's not. In blockchain land, so for what? Post boxing footage? No, I won't do that. I'm weak and pathetic and flabby and bad at boxing. It's just fun and I like it. So 3 weeks out, we're probably going to see the last sort of testnet kind of stages, which means that witnesses, like actual sort of witness node operators, will be running this fixed patch tested candidate as the final state of testing, and then there'll also be a public testnet. Now, in most cases for you guys, this hard fork isn't going to have that fun, get in there and test aspect, because there aren't necessarily a lot of changes that are happening on a level that an end user would test. So for some of you, like the bleeps or other people, FBSLO, I feel like you might be a dev, but I don't know. And if I'm wrong, I apologize. So for some of you, you're going to be testing the API stuff already. You're going to be testing your apps against libraries. But for most of you, you're not going to be helping with this. And there isn't really a lot of changes that if you hop on a public-facing condenser for testnet, that you're going to be seeing. Because the stuff you're going to be doing is going to be going through Hivemind. It's going to be going through that API. And all you'll know is you'll click a button and then maybe it'll work. And for you, all of the stuff that's been changed and all of the stuff that's being tested, it's behind the scenes. It's the beeps and the boops and the numbers in the computer. And that can be really frustrating as well, because you want to help. Our ecosystem is full of intensely passionate people. So, hey, Corbin. Yeah, you'll know even less than that. Cool. We'll talk a little bit about a secondary newbie night as well, because our first one went fantastic. I just fucked it up. So, roughly 3 weeks, I'm going to be doing some communication on this. I'm going to be reiterating a lot of what I'm saying on this show, talking about what does timing look like? Where can I find this information? Now that we're actually making an effort to be decentralized, we're making an effort to talk on chain, and we're making an effort for individuals to step forward with their contributions. How do we get info on that? Where do we find it? How do we share information effectively? And that's something I've been working on this week. I wrote some stuff while I was away. I did do some work from the hotel. Please don't yell at me. I did do some work from the hotel. So I've got some stuff I'm hoping to release this week. I'm hoping to help coordinate. But if you guys have questions, comments, stuff you want to talk about, go easy on me, because my brain is definitely still a little bit on vacation, but I'm here for you. Hey, Clay! So we're going to continue chitty-chatting a little bit. Town halls are good for that. I agree and I disagree, Solo, because the town halls, much like this show, it's basically a town hall now. They are great, but I thought Clay was here. That's so weird. I swear to God, I saw his avatar come up on my screen. His avatar is on my screen. What the fuck? What the fuck? He is there. Clay's there. He's probably not listening, though. He doesn't like the show. He just comes to support me, which is fine. So here's the thing. Here's the thing. Town halls, I don't hate them at all. I actually think they're very useful, but they only reach a small subset. You've only missed 26 minutes of my show. They reach a small subset of us. There's a really engaged presence here on Discord, but the reality is you cannot put all of this information out in a town hall and expect it to be usefully disseminated. And the other problem is people will listen to recordings later, but it's hard to pull pertinent information out of that. And a lot of the complaints that we've had about ourselves over the last couple of years, because again, physician, know thyself, is that we have a blockchain that is immensely suited for conveying information like this, bringing people together in a community, helping them. Leo Finance is the new palette. No, Leo Finance is Leo Finance. They've always been Leo. They've always been doing a good thing. They've always had their own sort of niche knocked out. They're not the new anything. They're themselves. They don't need to be anybody else. So the reality is we just kind of have to look at how do we balance all these tools together. Town halls are great. Town halls are useful. This show is great. This show is useful, but it will never take the place of us actually using our goddamn blockchain. We all have it. It does good things. It works really well, and it makes this information accessible to everyone. And that's been an effort that we really, really have to stick with. And that's why that community is really helpful. So I see all of you guys are repeating the same question about HBD. HBD is such a polarizing topic because it doesn't really do what it needs to do. And if it did, that would be fabulous. But the reality is there any reason why HBD spiked today? Anybody putting almost any money into HBD could spike it. It's shocking. Yay, Corbin! It's shocking, but we forget how absolutely infinitesimal small our market cap is. And HBD specifically, especially on outside markets, there are not a lot of places trading HBD. So somebody could literally sneeze in the direction of HBD right now and flash spike or crash it. I hate to tell you. And I mean, a lot of people have a lot of opinions on whether or not we should be keeping HBD. And at this point, I'm leaning towards that we shouldn't. I really like why it exists. I understand why it exists. And we talked about it a lot, especially at our newbie night. And there's a lot of really useful reasons. But the second that we take HBD outside of our own system, so you can't just convert it on the internal market for $1 all the time. As soon as it becomes subject to the whims of the outside market, the controls that we have are weak. That's a real problem. And now we've had this sort of long period of time where we're so used to having HBD and we're so used to being able to wait for it to break the peg because of course everybody goes, oh, it needs to be pegged. But if it doesn't, then they love that. Everybody's waiting for it. Every fucking one of you is sitting on a little stash waiting for it to go to $15 again so you can immediately move it to an exchange and sell it. And that's a problem. That's a problem. If HBD is doing what it should, you wouldn't be able to do that. And therein lies a problem. So at this point, it would almost be better to get rid of it. Hey, Krim, what this mean? Yeah, I mean, I don't really want to talk about Steam, but yes, Steemit as a company has begun a large power down, and they have transferred a ton to Binance. So that's a whole thing. Or Bittrex, I forget who Deep Crypto is. So Solo's saying, so it's not planning on being a stablecoin. Well, here's the deal, Solo. It doesn't matter what it plans to be. It's always planned to be $1. And the reality is the blockchain treats it very, very much like a stablecoin. The blockchain treats it perfectly. The blockchain's planning is that it's stable. But when you take it outside from the blockchain, away from our ecosystem, your plans go right the fuck out the window. And the problem now is we've opened Pandora's box for HBD. We know it can be bought and sold and traded out and around the ecosystem. Very few people convert or hold on to it or use it to interact inside the ecosystem, which is the intent of having it. And instead, people hold it, they wait for a pump, and then they dump it on markets outside. And that's why it's never going to stay perfectly pegged. It doesn't matter what we plan, because everyone who says, I love HBD, it's going to be stable, we're planning on it being a stable coin, has some in their back pocket that they're waiting to rip out of the system and break the peg with. That's the problem. So yeah, right. Sociology is asking if you convert it, it basically burns it, right? Yeah. What happens when you convert HBD? Now, we talked about this on Newbie Night, but maybe let's bring it up here. Most of you know this. You probably know it. Maybe you don't know it as perfectly as you want. HBD is essentially an IOU, and it's printed by the ecosystem. It's printed by the blockchain. For every Hive-backed dollar, it is $1 treated by the blockchain that can be backed by Hive. It's weird. It's almost like the name makes sense. So if you say, I have an HBD, hello blockchain, I would like to convert this into Hive, the blockchain will say, well, absolutely. Give me that dollar and I will give you Hive for it. It's really simple. And that's how HBD leaves the ecosystem again. So think about it as burning. Absolutely. It's burned and it's converted into liquid Hive. That's valuable because those HBD are removed. They're not just kicking it. When HBD leave the blockchain ecosystem and they go to an external market, they still exist. They're still in circulation. So it doesn't, you go, oh, I can get way more for them. but they're still there. We have a lot of them. And that really creates the issue of, what we see with supply and demand and the ability to pump. And there's almost all of our problems with pegging come from that ability. And it's frustrating. It's very frustrating because trying to take that away now, there's going to be a lot of people around the ecosystem who are I sang that in my head, kitty girl. I will gladly pay you Tuesday for an HBD today. That is a fabulous movie. It's problematic because there's going to be people who feel immensely attacked if we take HBD out. But this experiment has probably come pretty close to running its course if we were to keep HBD only within the blockchain ecosystem. And if we were to use HBD between ourselves, why does HBD exist? Let's ask this question really quickly. So if this thing's broken and we can't keep it pegged and we're trading it, why do we have it? Why is it here? I know, Fox, you say you don't have TV 27 times a show. That's actually from the 80s. It's an old, or maybe 90s. It's an old Robin Williams movie. I literally saw it when I was a kid. It's a fabulous movie. It's Shelley Duvall and Robin Williams. It's Popeye. So yeah, we know you don't have a TV. Good for you. I encourage it. That's a great thing. But also, you have to see it. It's a great movie. Now let's just come back to this. Let's quickly touch on this. Why the fuck do we have HBD? Now, one of the biggest issues that we've always found is how do we encourage interaction and a marketplace within our ecosystem, right? How we want people to be able to spend Hive, and we specifically want them be able to know that when they're spending and using Hive as a currency, that they won't get fucked on some of that volatility. And so HBD, for a lot of intents and purposes, was this way to say, hey, doesn't matter what the price of Hive is. Doesn't matter. But I'm going to give you an HBD. So you've got a product that costs $5. I'm going to give you 5 HBD. And that way, it doesn't matter if in 20 minutes the price of Hive changes. It doesn't matter because the blockchain knows I paid you $5. And we now have that ability to exchange value. And this has always been a tricky spot for adoption. And if you're, hey, this guy, I can't do this guy. I guess I got to do this guy. If you're not watching the Crim Cam, you won't know what I'm talking about. It's fine. I'm pointing at things. We're dabbing. That's what the kids do, right? The dab? Is that a thing? Is this a thing? That's dabbing, right? I don't know. So the reality was, we said, hey, we've seen what happens in other parts of the ecosystem. And we've seen specifically in the cryptosphere as a whole, you have maximalists who say, fuck you. Don't use that coin. Hold it forever. Revised sociology, I'll tell you in just a second, okay? So the reality comes down to, there's so many people who say, hey, hold it or die. You can't spend it, fuck you. You don't love crypto unless you hold. Well, that's a real fucking problem. And then you have another group that says, if I can't use my crypto, then that's dumb. You maximalists are pieces of shit. I'm not holding on to anything. YOLO, I'm going to spend every fucking penny I get because it's currency, right? And the reality is we're somewhere in between. We need a little bit of both. You want to hold some, you want to build up your holdings, you want to have some financial freedom in knowing that you have some value socked away for yourself, but you also need to be able to use it, or else why the fuck are you holding on to it? And so HBD was this really sort of bizarre and great idea within the ecosystem at the time, which was, hey, no problem. Whatever the price is, you guys will be able to easily transact within the marketplace, within the ecosystem, between each other with HBD. It's so simple. And the blockchain will back it. And the blockchain will make sure that it's always treated as $1. And it's as simple as that. But of course, that's not what happened. We said, oh, well, I don't care about trading. There you go. See, there's a dude on the web saying mine just goes right out. And that's what we discovered is instead of creating this incredible, robust internal ecosystem where you had the ability to earn HBD and then spend it or, transact it around as a currency. We just said, well, I want money for it right now. I need to go to exchange. And so instead of going to the blockchain or instead of working within our ecosystem, we said, well, let's just put it on exchange and let's just sell it. And that really is where things kind of went out the window, and we've been there ever since. And so, of course, there's this excitement that, I can keep my Hive and I can sell my HBD. Ha-ha! And everybody wants to do that. But inherently, that breaks the entire sort of purpose of HBD. Now, Soul's asking, is that why we run price feeds? Yeah, that's absolutely part of it. Is our price feeds are what inform the blockchain of the prices that it needs to make all of these calculations. Calculations on post payouts, calculations on conversions, calculations all the time. The blockchain just says, hey, how do I know what $1 is? Because that's what I treat HBD. I treat it as a buck. How do I know how many Hive are in $1? How does the blockchain know that? So part of what witnesses do is they run a price feed, and that price feed is then basically taken into more calculations. And the blockchain goes, cool, I'm going to use all of your price feeds. I'm going to average them out. I'm going to 3.5 day window. Bang, here's a good price that accurately represents what's happening right now. Cool. So HBD at this point is honestly horrifically broken. And at this point, Clay's just a link maximalist now. At this point, it's probably something we need to get rid of. Or we somehow magically need to accept that keeping it on outside markets and selling it on outside markets basically defeats the purpose of having it. And that's so frustrating. And it's frustrating to explain to people because people say, well, I want to sell my HBD and keep my Hive. That's what I'm doing. That's why we have HBD. It means I can keep my Hive. Well, yeah and no. And that's been problematic. So I think, where was Revised Sociology's question? He was asking, does the chain just print extra Hive? No. There is always enough Hive to back up every HBD. Now, this gets confusing. Have you ever heard, and probably on this show, have you ever heard the phrase, the debt ratio? Now, some of you guys might be familiar with this from the show. For some of you guys, this is going to be Krim just flapping her jaws again. The debt ratio. Thank you for the supply, Ron. This is very helpful. Right now, you'll see, if you're in chat or if you look on the overlay, you're going to see Banjo's given a big string of numbers here. Now, the supply is all the Hive that is currently printed and exists, right? So here's the deal. Thank you, I'm the best flapper. So the supply is all of the Hive that's currently out there. Now, what you'll see is the next number is it says, there's X amount of HBD, and in parentheses, it says that's 5.28% of supply. Now, what would happen if all of us today, right now, every person holding an HBD came to the blockchain and said, I'm going to convert it. Give me liquid Hive. Now, what did we say HBD was? Hive-backed dollar. So if everybody cashed in those IOUs, if every single person said, fuck the market, came running in and wanted to convert their HBD, what would happen? Well, the blockchain would say, cool. I'm going to get you Hive for that. Now, the blockchain is always thinking. The blockchain is always watching these numbers. The debt ratio is essentially looking at how much of the current supply of Hive is there in HBD. If there's too much in HBD, I'm not making any new HBD because I can't fulfill that IOU. And so the system, were it working, is great. The blockchain goes, whoa, you guys all want to trade in your IOUs? I have enough money to do it. So unlike a bank, where if you wanted to go these days, like fiat, you guys know very well that if you go to a bank and you say, hey, I want to take everything out. If everybody did that, if we made a run on the banks, do you think people would get their money? Do you think there'd be enough fiat? The answer is, holy fuck, no. Absolutely not. Not even a question. So the debt ratio says, hey. And you know how sometimes we don't always print HBD and it seems kind of nebulous and somebody says, ooh, debt ratio. And you go, okay, yeah, okay. But you don't necessarily know. So here's the reality. The blockchain constantly, yeah, exactly, just print more. Plus. Just get some more fiat. Fuck it. Well, yes, Ron is exactly right. The haircut rule is something too. You've probably heard about the haircut. Here's the deal. The blockchain is always going, well, friends, I've made X amount of HBD, and those are all IOUs. I have to keep in mind how much Hive is worth, and I have to make sure that I can pay my IOUs. The Hive blockchain is a good buddy. He's never gonna fucking stiff you. The Hive blockchain is constantly thinking about doing the math. Hey, hand grenade, have we ever said hi before? I don't think so. Welcome to the show. My name's Crimson Clad. So the Hive blockchain is always thinking. The Hive blockchain is a little bit of a Rain Man in the background. You know that stupid GIF with all the numbers around his head? That is Crim needs a filter that has Joe Biden sniffing her armpits during the show. Creepy Joe just hanging out. Maybe. Would people still watch? I don't think so. So the Hive blockchain's in the background, always thinking about this. The Hive blockchain is neurotic. It's always going, hey. If I had to pay back all of the Hive, could I do it? And that math is constantly being done. That's where the debt ratio comes from. We talked a little. Okay, cool. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to forget you. I'm just a really fucking shitty DJ. So, okay, the debt ratio is there. Now, right now, what? It's in the like 5-ish%. But what would happen if, say, the Hive price dropped really, really, really low? Or the Hive price, where does the term haircut come from? I'll talk about that in just a second, kitty girl. We're going to get there naturally. So when the blockchain is constantly doing this math and going, what would happen if the price of Hive went really low or really high? Because this affects that calculation. What the fuck, Fox? Oh, that's gross. Yuck. Paper cuts give me the heebie-jeebies. There was a picture dropped in chat. So if Hive dropped really, really, really low and I went to convert, what would happen? Okay, I need $1. I have an HBD and I'm going to convert it. I need $1 worth of Hive, please. If Hive is very cheap, I need a lot of liquid Hive to make up $1. So all of a sudden the blockchain goes, whoa, pump the brakes. We have to wait. The prices right now, I'm not going to be able to afford to cash this in. And all of a sudden, that debt ratio haircut rule starts coming into play. And what that means is we're printing at a certain rate. But if we know we're getting pretty close to that maximum, which is 10%, the blockchain says, hey, if there's more than 10% of the current supply in HBD, we stop. We don't print anymore because I need to be able to not welch on this debt. So what happens is when we hit 9%, the blockchain goes, we're getting real close. And as it prints new HBD, it takes a little off the top. There's a little sliding scale of how much it stops. So do you guys know when you get your post payouts or when you see rewards from the blockchain, how sometimes you don't get as much HBD and eventually you don't get any HBD at all? That's the haircut rule. That's the blockchain going, I'm just going to take a little bit of that HBD off the top. I'm going to give you Hive instead. Just, and that happens to help keep that ratio proper. That we know we're getting close. We're getting a little too close. Getting a little too close to not being able to keep this debt ratio where we want it. So let me just cut a little off the top and I'll give you Hive instead. And so that's what's constantly happening. So when the debt ratio is between 9 and 10%, 10% is that hard stop. You're not getting no HBD. We're not printing it. We've got to get rid of some HBD. 9% is like, ooh, it's pretty close. There's a sliding scale between those two where the blockchain just takes a little haircut, and constantly balances. It's a last-ditch effort to make sure that whatever's being printed is always backed. And if things get a little bit too lopsided, no more HBD until we convert it and it's burned. Simple as that. So, when you hear about this system, for many of you guys, this might be new. This might not be new at all. But when you hear about this system, my God, it's great. It's really well thought out. The blockchain is constantly making sure that it won't fuck you over. And as an internal ecosystem, it's a fabulous set of economics. Of course, we as humans, as fallible morons, have kind of ruined that. We've kind of ruined that. And so we're at this precipice now where we have to decide, like Corbin said, do we just take it off all marketplaces? Do we not trade it on sort of outside? And do we really bring it back to a space internally where it becomes useful to us and where we can have a way of course I noticed you. I notice each and every one of you and every single thing you guys say. Every single one of you. Yeah, it's one of those really great ideas that lacked a little practicality. Now, one of the things that certainly we've discovered as humans over the course of the over the course of this last little bit has been that we can fuck up everything. We are immensely, immensely good at fucking things up. And yeah, you can't just take it off markets. I think that's a really good point, bro guy. Even if we could, let's just say magically we could snap our fingers and we just close down all of those markets and whatever, that still probably isn't going to fix the problem because everyone now is used to treating HBD instead of as a way to transact value at a stable number between each other. We're used to waiting for it to be worth more than it should be and trading it interpersonally for other things. And in fact, for a lot of people, HBD has become the antithesis of what it should have been. HBD is an IOU for Hive, and you want Hive. That's what it is. However, we don't treat it that way. We think HBD is an IOU for US dollars. HBD is an IOU for Bitcoin. HBD is an IOU for the rest of my bags. And that's the real problem. And there's probably no coming back from that. And that, yeah, that's very problematic. That's very problematic. And how we fix that in a meaningful way at this point is not going to work. It's just not going to work. So, I mean, I'm leaning very strongly towards removing HBD because not only that, and we can ask Corbin, we can ask Marco, we can ask people who were at my newbie night. One of these problems that we've run into is it's not just that economically it's broken. It is another giant fucking speed bump in the way of people truly understanding Hive. And that's really tricky. That's really, really tricky. Sorry, Big Tom. And that's tricky. And we're gonna have to grapple with that. But the reality is we say, hey, we're a gateway drug to crypto. Hey, Hive is a perfect first crypto. And so many people approached other crypto and self-sovereignty seeking and maybe libertarianism or whatever through Hive. The problem is we are still very complex. And HBD, being as broken as it is, through essentially no fault of its own, is not going to help us kind of grow. And that sucks. So what does that look like? What's the right approach to it? I don't know, but I certainly, personally, and this is Crim, not Hive, because sometimes people seem to think that I speak for all of Hive, which is, first of all, a terrible mistake. God, don't think that. Oh, no. No. I'd be interested in hearing your take on Vitalik's recent tweet. This big about ETH is meant to be resolving issues X, and X and creating an alternative economy, and people are trading it like 135% volatility farming. Well, there you go. And root drugs, that's a really great... I'm not Lady Hive. I'm crazy lady who does Hive stuff. But yeah, that's a really great point. It's a really great point, Root Draws. We like to think that we are the only ones struggling with these type of problems. But one thing we've learned certainly is this is bigger than a crypto problem. There's essentially a human nature problem. When you work to earn something, or whatever the case may be, when you have something, you want the biggest return on it. You want to find ways within the system to maximize what you can get, what you can do. And we're seeing it across the system. Now, DeFi is this huge buzzword, and, lending and everything that's happening in sort of the ETH portion of the ecosystem, they're seeing a lot of the same problems. Now, is it manifesting the same way because our tokens are the same? No. But is it caused by the same sort of portion of human nature? Absolutely. People want and believe that crypto is only about volatility, only about insane leverage trading. If I can't be making 200% a day, fuck your crypto, your shit coin, get out. And we're going to have an uphill battle against that. But the reality is that's something very, very prevalent in the whole ecosystem. Hive, we have this problem where we're different in enough ways that we also say, haha, we're different in every way and we're better. And we sometimes are a little bit out of touch with the world around us. We're actually pretty fucking similar. Everybody's trying to solve the same problems. And we have to be a little bit more open-minded about looking around us and seeing what others are doing. So hang on, I'm so far out of touch with chat here. Clay says, I'm cool with removing HBD, but I also think we've seen plenty of times in the past that we as a community don't have really strong leaders into the economic side of things. The fact that the current agenda is to get rid of the rewards pool, despite the fact that it would completely devastate the middle class that has been growing very well on Hive, tells me that there's some short-sighted whales trying to protect their own power. I agree with that too. I think that it's really problematic because we're already seeing second layer solutions. I think that the way that we approach the reward pool is really going to have to change. But certainly it's problematic. I do to some degree, Ron, because for every person who's going to understand that the second layer is capable of doing that well, and for everybody who sees what we're building, certainly with second layer solutions, it's going to actually crumple a lot of people who have put a lot of time in it. I'm not just talking about the milkers, because we love that term here. We love to denigrate others. But there are a lot of people who are just getting a handle on Hive, who have been working really hard to get themselves in a place where they feel ownership, what is going on in chat? What are you doing? Lax, holy Hannah. There's a lot certainly that it would absolutely gut a subset of people who are very important to helping grow and develop other people. And why do people poo-poo layer 2 solutions? I don't know. You hate ours, but at the same time, I think they're very valuable. I just think they have to be done right, and they need good teams behind them. I certainly believe that a lot of important stuff is in layer 2, which is why I am working on things like NFT showroom and using our chain in that way. I don't know, bro. That whole conversation was so weird. You focused on one thing, you ignored a bunch of stuff that I said to you, and then you called me a crazy bitch, and then you were mad at me. So now I feel bad and I don't know how to fix it. But that being said, second layer matters to me. Base layer matters to me. And the reality is, I'm weird. Okay, fair enough. I'm weird. So the reality is I agree with Clay to some degree. Absolutely. And I also super agree with, yeah, I know. And yours was perfect. I know. So I agree both with people like David who are saying, yeah, fuck it. We can't have the rewards pool the way that it is, because he's right. But I also agree with Clay that we can't just pick it up and dump it. And so that's really problematic too. And that is one of those things that we are trying to work together, and it has to be done on chain, and it has to be done with communication. And so that's a really problematic thing that we've sucked at up to this point. But what I can say is that I'm seeing it more in Hive. And for a lot of you guys who remember the good old Steam days, I'm seeing better communication. I'm seeing people. This is where we started. We're got a half an hour and I haven't even or a full half of the show and I haven't even played any music yet. But what I can say is pat yourselves on the back because I'm seeing this communication on chain. I'm seeing more people talking to each other, even if it's angry talking. I'm seeing people discussing it. I'm seeing people posting their opinions. I'm seeing people, canvassing for trying to get others. I'm seeing people making an effort. And we didn't really do that with Steam. We complained a lot, we yelled a lot, we fought a lot, and at the end of the day, we just said, well, nobody's going to change it for us anyways, and we just gave up. So that to me matters. Seeing CF die. What is CF? I don't know what that is. I don't know. So the reality is let's actually do a little bit of music. And yeah, I agree. We need more distribution of rewards rather than less. Yeah, I totally agree. Downvoting like crazy. What the fuck? What are we talking? Oh, crypto finally. Oh, who cares? She's dumb. I mean, she's a nice girl. If she wants to use the blockchain, she can. But she's mad about everything and she makes everything into a really big fight about herself. And I think that's part of how she grows. So good for her. I mean, if it works, it works. I don't hate on her for who she is or what she does. I mean, people are like, oh, nipples. So what? She has nipples. She's a cute chick, whatever. But the reality is she's constantly looking for a fight. And that's exhausting. That's exhausting. Nobody has time for that. But I also do agree that people like her, we're going to have to figure out, you have nipples. You all have nipples. I too have nipples. This is the whole chat now. I mention this and everybody's just like, nipples. I have nipples. I have nipples. I have nipples. Some of these are actually like question marks. I have nipples? Do you? Do you? I don't know. Listen, there's some soul searching to be done in chat right now. I know Clay has posted his nips. And Solo's got 2. Solo has it too. Excellent. And everybody who hasn't been paying attention to me for the last little bit while I blathered on is now immediately back and listening to nipples. Listen, so I actually... nipple back dollars. See? You guys say what you want. But them nips, they were what people were looking at. People, you can't help but look at nipples. I mean, unless... I don't know. I don't want to go down this road with you guys because... I know we'll never come back from it. Do you get bonus points for having 3? No, the Witchfinder General is going to come for you because apparently witches have 3 nipples. Just FYI. So let's actually play one track. Let's play a quick dancey track. And I actually tweeted this yesterday. There is a synthwave artist called Laserhawk, and he does a bunch of really super 80s kind of like club dance music. But he's got a track called Electric Groove, and it's got this really crunchy ass bass line. It's really great, and it's got a mildly suggestive lyric set. So since everybody is fully fixated on nipples right now, it seems like a good place to go. So let's play a little bit of music. Let's quickly sort of clean our slates or rub our nipples or whatever it is you're going to do in chat. I don't judge. I won't partake, but I don't judge. And I'm going to play a track called Electric Groove, and then we'll come into the second half of the show because holy shit, a little like, let's talk briefly about hard fork timing. As per usual, spiraled out of control, and we've had a really great conversation so far. We've discussed a little bit about HBD. Why does it exist? What is it supposed to do? We moved into why is it pretty broken? What is the haircut rule? What's a print rate? How does HBD work within our internal economics? And we've come through quite a bit of discussions from there. So we'll move into the second half of the show. We can do some more questions, more comments. We could talk about stuff that's not Hive related. But as per usual, I'm following you guys. My name is Crimson Clad. This is CyberBuzz. Every Saturday I'm here. I talk about disruptive technology. I talk about Hive, blockchain, the universe. And I play what used to be a lot of synthwave. These days, I'm lucky if I can fit a track in. So I'm just gonna do the thing. All right. There you go. An electric groove. That's Laserhawk. I think I've played some of his music for you before, but that's a fabulous track, man. That's a fabulous track. Hey, welcome back. My name is Crimson Clad. This is CyberBuzz. It's the first one back in 2 weeks. I went on vacation. I took a little break. I took a little bump. Yes. Okay, Kitty Girl, absolutely. We can totally talk about that. So I was just laughing during the break because I opened up that CryptoTitties site and it legitimately was somebody just remaking CryptoKitties, but titties, different types of titties. And I mean, I love boobs. What is that? I don't know. It's fun. But I mean, does that just mean that you like crossbreed tits and then get more mangled tits or maybe perfect tits or maybe like two different tits? Are they cockeyed? Is it going to be like, what's that music video where the boobs are just like all over the place? All right. So, hi, Dracos has joined us. Hello. And just in the break there, I did see somebody over on Theta. Now, my goal on this show used to be to educate people, to get really intoxicated, and every time I had a new person, to destroy their name on air. Not because I don't love you, just because, you know, that's what happens when you get really, really drunk. And so, your name, I don't even have to try to fuck it up. I don't even have to be intoxicated. You need a handle. If you're still watching, you should tell me, like, do you know the Fifth Element where it's like Lilu, yeah. Do you have a short form for your name? Do you have like a what's a tiny? Corbin. Fuck! I was asking if the new guy on Theta had a small name that they left. Oh, well, for fuck's sakes. Had him and lost him. All right. Back-to-back drinks. Yeah. Back-to-back drinks. I get fucked. All right. So, cheers to Corbin. And we'll come back to Kitty Girl's topic because you know what? Onboarding is something that probably a lot of us are interested in. And yeah, initial delegations is an important thing. So, okay. I was going to give you two, but I'm not giving you two. I like to drink my whiskey with a whiskey rock, and I like to sit, and I like to just sip it. Okay. Yeah, I will probably be a disaster later. And that's fine. This is hearkening back to the early days of MSP Waves, where I could barely fucking stand. What was I saying? Onboarding. Kitty Girl wanted to talk about onboarding. Whew. I just got to make it through 45 more minutes of this show. I can do it. We're good. Let's do this. So, talking a little bit about initial delegations. I agree. So here's the thing. We keep saying nobody's onboarding. Nobody's getting people to come join us. Nobody's onboarding. Well, I've always inherently seen this as problematic because let's roll back to the start of the show. We were saying, hey, we're in an ecosystem now where if it's not getting done, it's decentralized. Do it yourself. Wait, is he leaving? Pompadour it later. I don't know. Bye if you're leaving or if you're coming. Hello. So, part of this is, hey, nobody's going to do it, so we got to do it. And now we have some sort of community-sourced onboarding features. But the problem is, and I have some reservations about this, because we always say onboarding to Hive. Now, the blockchain is a blockchain. The blockchain can power many, many, many things. No, I agree with that, Kitty Girl, but I'm kind of going to take this in my own direction. I'm going to approach your question sort of through the lens of some of my own sort of personal thoughts. Because it's my show. You guys keep showing up and you keep giving me a pedestal to stand on. And then you got to listen to me shout from it. It's very dumb. So here's the deal. Hive is a blockchain. And we've always said we got to onboard them to Hive. We got to onboard them to Hive. But that's been problematic because ideally, let's look at why do people use a product, a service, a website, an app? do they use it for the framework that that thing is built on? In a lot of cases, we don't use an app because we know it's built with Flutter. That's not a thing. And so what we've struggled to, at this point, we've said, oh, well, the main company, the main blockchain, people got to be onboarded. But what we should be doing is we should be pushing apps and interfaces. Now, Splinterlands has done a pretty damn good job with this. And I'm going to toot our own horn. NFT Showroom's doing a really good job, partially because we have people like Julia, who is an accomplished artist, like people like Root Draws, or some of you who are there, who are going out and actually getting artists and saying, hey, you have a problem, I have an app that'll fix it. And that's a valuable form of onboarding. Now, when we talk about the blockchain and onboarding people to Hive, that's harder. Now, why is that harder? Because we could just say, hey, Hive has everything you could possibly want. But the reality is things built on top of Hive should be doing their own onboarding. We can't hope that having a blockchain that's super powerful, that has the potential to build everything, is going to be a perfect draw. And that's why we've ended up with this community outreach, community outboarding, and people like Kitty Girl, or people like Stella, or people who are really pushing Hive onboarding. You are the catalyst there. It's not Hive that is onboarding them, it's you. And you're saying, let me show you all the things that you can do. And that's problematic because it's not scalable. Now, when we talk about we need Hive to scale, it's not just about Hive itself, the blockchain. It needs to be everything that's built with the blockchain. It's scale or die, it's grow or die. And so in a lot of cases, for the longest time, Peak D should be doing their own onboarding initiative. Games need to be reaching outside of the blockchain. Now, Splinterlands is one of the only ones doing this, and then we have great games that are up and coming. Same sort of thing. So we're doing a fabulous job from the inside, but the problem is that's not scalable, and that's not really how onboarding and adoption happens. You have early adopters, and you have influencers and leaders who, if they do something, you go, ooh, neat, I'm going to check that out. But most of the time, where onboarding and adoption happens is somebody builds a cool thing and then everybody wants to use that thing. That thing goes out and finds its own audience and brings people in. Now, where Hive is different is the people in the ecosystem can say, hey, you came here from Splinterlands, but guess what? Your Hive account unlocks NFT Showroom. It unlocks, Peak D. It unlocks Holy Bread. It unlocks the ability to use D-Sound. It's 3-speak. And so all Corbin. So all of those things are part of how we can then use onboarding to grow outwards. And so I see a real problem here in that we have built this community-centric, community-built tool, and we have community members who are pushing really hard and who are making an onboarding difference. I see that almost as problematic because it means that a lot of interfaces and a lot of projects are not going to try. They're going to say, there he is. Yeah, that's right. They're going to say, hey, the onboarding's happening. It's fine. And projects that want to be successful cannot rest on those laurels. And that's really problematic for me. And I really do want to see things built on Hive onboarding for themselves and not for the Hive blockchain, because the Hive blockchain will get them. We just have to get them within our sphere of influence first. Now, Kitty Girl is not talking about that at all. Kitty Girl is saying initial delegations are a problem. And I agree. So right now, one of the cool things that you can do within our ecosystem is you have the ability to loan your stake. You have the ability to loan your influence, and you have ability to do it in a way that is backed by a blockchain, which means you don't have to trust. Kitty Girls is definitely not a guy. Not even a little bit. She's a babe. Don't even start. And her nails are always really nice. Where I'm kind of going with this is Kitty Girl is absolutely right. We have this cool blockchain that allows for this cool thing. You can lend out your influence and you don't have to trust that that person is going to give it back, because we know damn well if you lend a little bit of money and just say, hey, I'm going to give you this stack of bills so you can wave it at people and impress them, there's not a huge high percentage they're going to give it back to you, because people, they get hit by buses. Some of them are douchebags. Some of them will forget. Some of them will lose interest. Some of them, despite their best intentions, will drop all the bills and then they'll fall down the drain. It doesn't matter. People can't be trusted. And so delegation was a fabulous way to share the abilities of using the platform without having to trust. What do we say? Trust, but verify. This was a way that the blockchain verified. It was trustless. Delegation is trustless. Fabulous. Fabulous. However, so let's just see. So Johnny Rayco, Hive MTV. So you offer delegations to incentivize people to join. Yeah, perfect. That's a great way to do it. But so what Kitty Girl is saying is, hey, if we are onboarding people without that delegation, if we don't lend them that little piece of influence, the blockchain and the services on the blockchain are unusable. And that's very, very true. Now, what she's asking is, how do we deal with that? How do we overcome that? And how do we work around that? Now, one big thing is, how do we, pretty much, Kitty Girl. How do we get around that? So we have a bunch of people now from the community stepping up doing onboarding. Great. Fucking fabulous. Fucking fabulous. But the problem is that people also have worked really hard for their stake, or maybe don't have a whole lot, or maybe aren't super thinking about the outcomes. They bring people. We like you, Johnny. We like you. But my job is to make sure to make fun of everybody's name. It's not just you. If I didn't make fun of your name, then you would have to be sad, because I would be singling you out. So this is a problem. Now, what you're asking is, how do we get people to give delegations? But what more importantly, you're asking, whether you know you are or not, and you probably do, is how do we take this beyond, I must delegate to you to allow you partial control over the reward pool, or I must delegate some of my vests to you? Because right now, vests and RCs are inherently tied together. That's problematic. So, of course, RC delegation pools are a thing. The code is already being worked on. It is something that will be coming. It probably won't be 24, which is the upcoming hard fork. It'll probably be hard fork 25. Now, what does that mean? And yes, there is Gift Giver. I will touch on that. And I will come back to Hive Invite as well, because I actually have a preference for Hive Invite. And I'm going to actually talk to Room Service about this. So let's just touch on this. RC delegation pools are coming. What does that mean? Why does that matter? How does that work for somebody who is an individual onboarding, too much booze. And how does that work for somebody who is a project that's onboarding? And why is an RC delegation important? Well, right now we know that if you have vests, if you have stake, and you have influence, then you are also allotted a bigger chunk of RCs, right? You can do more because you have more invested in the system. But when we pull those two apart, what happens? You don't get less RCs, you don't get less vesting. But what it means is that all of a sudden you don't have to have them go hand in hand. So when you are delegating, you don't necessarily have to delegate your vests or your influence around the ecosystem, but you can give some of your ability to do stuff. Oh God, that picture, to do stuff around the ecosystem. And that matters. That really matters, because for many of us, when you get over a certain hump with your vests, right? It's not lingerie, it's just a fucking tank top. God, Clay. The ability to do stuff matters. And it's the most important point of onboarding. When you give somebody a delegation for onboarding, you're not trying to give them the ability to do more. I could literally go get the tank top right now. It's hanging in my closet. You're not giving them the ability to influence the reward pool, or you're not giving them the ability to influence witness voting. What you're doing is you're trying to allow them to get the ability to put it on. That means I have to leave the room. Do you want me to leave the room and go get it? I'm wearing a tank top. What do you people fucking want from me? So the reality is RC delegation pools are coming, and that's a very fancy way of saying you will be able to delegate these RCs to someone without delegating the vests along with them. Now, there's a couple of reasons that this matters. One, you work damn hard for your vests, and right now when you delegate, you don't get to use those vests to put behind your own voice in the ecosystem. And so that's one thing on an individual level. But where it really matters and where this comes back to onboarding from projects down is projects are the ones who should be onboarding for themselves. Let's use Splinterlands for example. They're going out there, they are actively getting people, signing them up. Do you get paid for them on D-Lease? No, Solo. And that's different, right? That's a different part of the ecosystem. And so, yeah, you have more RCs than you can use. Johnny, thank you. Once you hit a certain hump and you have enough vests, what you're increasing is not your RCs. You don't give a shit about your RCs. You know you can do whatever you want. What you want is to increase your vests so you have more... Yeah, I know. You hate it, bro. I don't care. But the reality is whether you like it or not, they're going out there, they're finding new audiences, they're signing people up for their card game, whether or not they know about Hive. So I don't play, but I think it's really... I'm triggered. No, I'm not triggered, but I think this is an important part of my argument, and I really don't want people to miss that. Because I actually, Aggroed is triggered because of Splinterlands, because I don't play it. He's really mad. I have unopened alpha cards, but I know he wants me to defend Aggroed and do all that, but that's not it. What I really, really, really want to underline, and I don't want this to get lost, is they're one of the only projects, along with NFT Showroom, that are going out, and actually, you know what, Crypto Brewmaster. Let's give a hand for Crypto Brewmaster as well. They're the only things that are going outside of Hive, not even talking about Hive, and getting people in. And that really fucking matters. Now think about it from their perspective. They need their success in this hinges on the fact that if you go out and you get a person who wants to play a game or who wants to use your product and they come and they can't, they get onboarded, but they can't use it, that's a shit user experience. That's a shit user experience. So for Splinterlands, as an example, games are boring. Yeah, I agree. I actually don't like any of the blockchain games. So NFT Showroom, obviously the art stuff is exciting for me. But I don't like any of the blockchain games. I don't really play them. The reality is they need RC delegation, and they need that. They have to be responsible for the people they onboard. They must onboard, and they must be responsible, or else they're not actually helping by onboarding. No fun on Hive. Hive is serious business. Huh? Well, some people treat it that way, and that's silly. But I mean, admittedly, I don't play games. I don't play games on Jesus. Unfortunately, you can see, hopefully that didn't break your guys' ears. You could see that I have my camera. Let's try that. How many people just vomited? Did I get it right? There we go. How many people just vomited because I made their fucking entire room drop off? Yeah, I just died. No, I have this little thing to hold my camera to my monitor because I don't have it all wall mounted yet. So sorry, I'm not 100% sure why it fell, and I'm scared it's going to fall again. So just be prepared, strap yourselves in, hold on tight. Anyways, where I'm going with this is if people onboard, so like Splinterlands or like whatever, pick anything. If you onboard someone and they can't do anything, you've actually made things 100 times worse. You should have never onboarded them if you don't give them RCs, because it's much, much worse. If you didn't onboard them with the expectation that they would need resources to use the network, you've fucked us over. You've completely fucked us over. And so for a lot of people, the reality comes down to, hey, I've worked really hard for my vests. I don't want to delegate, even if they only need RCs. I don't want to delegate. I worked hard for this. I don't want to give away my influence in the ecosystem just to give these people RCs. That's fucking bullshit. And that is a stumbling block for sure. And I think it's part of what we're seeing right now. So for, the question of how do we get past this bottleneck, the next hard fork in these RC delegation pools are really, really going to matter. They're really going to matter. Because think about it. Right now, if you don't delegate, I'm drunk now. If you don't delegate, why aren't you delegating? Oh, I don't want to drop below a certain amount staked, or, my vote is finally big enough, or, there's a lot of reasons that people don't want to delegate. And those things mean we're going to see more of what Kitty Girl is talking about, which is people who get onboarded and then who get left high and dry, essentially, who just don't have a way to interact on the network. If it was simply, hey, after 1,000 HP, I can do every action I've ever wanted. Everything past that, I can delegate. I don't care. I'll delegate all the RCs. I don't need them. I have more than I can possibly ever use. And that's true on an individual level, but it's also true on a project level. Projects will 100% need to hold enough, I should say crimson. Projects will need to hold Hive, and this all really matters. Crim's trying to turn us commie. It's the opposite, Cly. I want you to be able to query without a doubt. Yes, I'll answer that in a second, Corbin. So, I'm the opposite of a commie. I want you to keep the money. I want you to keep the influence. I want you to keep the vests you work for and still be able to empower other people with your RCs without having to give up that fucking influence that you worked for. That's the opposite of being a commie, frankly. That really fucking matters. It really, really matters. And you have to combine the ability to do both. You have to be doing good for yourself, but without totally just destroying the ecosystem that you depend on. That's a pretty normal thing. We just suck. So Corbin is asking, Helpy had that. We have it here solo. If you come into this Discord, if you go into the terminal, if you go anywhere and you say, hey, I need a delegation, we'll give it to you. That's, the communities are very good at that. But again, it doesn't scale. And so, yes, Kitty Girl, there is, of course, about Gift Giver. And Gift Giver is a site where people can just offer up delegations for new users. Now, this is something that I see being very good about Hive Invite. Part of it is also, can we make this easy? And that is always, the path of least resistance is the one we'll take. Hive Invite, when you sign someone up through Hive Invite, you have to do a little bit more work, but you can actually broadcast the account creation and a delegation to that account in the same transaction. And that may or may not make it easier. So keep that in the back of your mind. It is pretty valuable. And I know people don't like it as much because there is no referral system. People don't like it as much because you do have to kind of come back and approve invites that you make. But in a lot of cases, it actually really does prompt you to take care of your delegations or creations as you do them. And it makes it easy to do all in one shot, all in one broadcast. But at the end of the day, this comes back to the same place that I started, which is individuals onboarding is not the way to onboard. It's a great grassroots effort. It does really matter, but individuals onboarding is not the way that people should be onboarded to Hive. Don't at me, don't yell at me, but it's the truth. It's the absolute truth. Every new thing that is built on Hive, every interface, every project, every game, every app. Why did you build on Hive? Why are you on Hive? Why did you come here? What are you using? Cly, for fucking Hive Roller, you should be onboarding for Hive Roller. Hey, do you want to use a provably fair dice game? Well, I'm going to go out into the world and find people who are fucking addicted to dice rolling, and I'm going to onboard them to the blockchain. That's, if you expect to make a living here, if you expect to use this network to push your project forward, then you're going to have to expect to suck it up and onboard your own people. And then, of course, within that ecosystem, there'll be some people who are like, hey, I'm going to bring my friend because I'm having fun. That's fine. But we cannot rely on individual onboarding. single P2P onboarding is not the way that the blockchain grows. Not the way that the blockchain grows meaningfully or effectively. And I hate to say that. It's the same thing as 3Speak. And actually, shout out to 3Speak, because for a lot of what they're doing is certainly one thing. But they're getting out there. They're basically finding people who are deplatformed. They're not talking about the money aspect. They're saying, hey, come post here, and it's immutable and it's censorship resistant. And they're literally leaving the ecosystem and saying, hey, you guys want to post videos and you don't want to be deplatformed. Let me come get you. And that's the reality, is each new project, each new thing, each new facet to this gem that is Hive is going to have to onboard people. And it's that combined effort that's really going to matter. So when we get there, as we are there, RC pools and delegating them separately is going to matter. This code is already started. This code will, I can't promise you it'll be the next hard fork, but there is every effort for it to be in the next hard fork, because it matters. And it also gives projects a reason to hold Hive. Now, we always say, why do you hold Hive? Well, we want to do it because we want to make it able so that no one can stop us from posting. Oh, I want to build up my influence because then I can do everything I want. But yeah, exactly. As Bro is saying, and as we talked about when we first kind of got to the community release, even before the hard fork, we talked about it a lot on this show, and how important the community aspect of things was and the community functions were. Imagine for a second that you don't even necessarily have to build a new product, but that you built your community and you tokenized it, or even just built it, and you wanted to make sure that Facebook couldn't keep destroying your groups. Facebook couldn't keep knocking off your followers. They couldn't keep taking down your posts. Twitter couldn't keep pulling you out. Now, Uncle Bonehead says, sure is a lot of hard fork going on, but that's the reality, is every time you want to iterate, every time you want to develop something further, you need a hard fork. And it's the opposite of bullshit. We should be looking for a certain amount of forks. That is iteration. That is the ability to grow and change and get better. And without them, we can't, and that matters. Now, Johnny's saying it's a bad idea to keep gatekeeping onboarding, in my opinion. Yeah, I agree. And this really comes down to individual users should be able to do it. Projects should be able to do it. Communities should be able to do it. Apps should be able to do it. Interfaces should be able to do it. And in fact, you should have an option as an individual. You should say, hey, I'm going to onboard as many people as I can by myself, but also I'm going to encourage them to come join my community on Vim TV. So Vim TV is going to have an onboarding thing that I'm going to refer them to. And that matters. That fucking matters. Now, Marco says, yeah, if SV could not peak to your Hive blog could. And that's the reality, is we always say it's censorship resistant, and people go, oh, well, a front end could absolutely. Yeah, we should have had this. That was the start of the show, Big Tom, is we should have had that first hard fork fast. We should have pulled out a lot of the stuff that's happening in Hive Mind now. And that's the first sort of hour of the show. We were discussing that. So, we say, oh, well, front ends could block you. Yeah, they could. But the difference is, let's just quickly underline that question. The difference is if Facebook blocks you, you can't go back to Facebook, grab all the information that they deleted for you, and recreate Facebook and just be like, here's my new Facebook. You can't do that. The blockchain, it doesn't matter. If somebody blocks you out, at the end of the day, you can go from interface to interface to interface to Explorer. You can find that information. And at the end of the day, you can even spin up your own node, make your own front end, say, fuck everybody, and still be able to do it. Is it easy? No. Is it practical for everyone? No. But if that's what really fucking matters, not one person can take that ability from you. Is it handed to you on a silver platter? No. But the things that matter to you are tools that are available to you. And that is so important. That is so important. Now, Uncle Bonehead is saying it's starting to make sense. Yeah, now this is the type of stuff that we used to talk about at the very start of the show, some more of this basic stuff. Essentially, think of a hard fork like this. We always use the path in the woods, that I took the fork less traveled by and da-da-da-da. Yeah. So the reality is code for the blockchain is going along. We are the blockchain. We're doing things a certain way. And we're going along. And we hit a fork in the road and we say, okay, well, we can continue doing things exactly the same as we can, or we can run some new code and we can make some changes. And so all of a sudden you have an option. That fork in the road, it goes from one path that you're on to two. And you can choose as a node operator to run new code or the same code or different versions of new code. But essentially what it means is the path that you're on, you are forking away from it. Now, there's a couple of different ways that this works, and this is probably something we should get into on Newbie Night. But essentially, the type of fork we're talking about right now, these iterative, these upgrades, is everybody goes, yep, cool, we're going to run it, and everybody goes on the fork. They go together. Everybody holds hands and goes down the new path. And again, you can fork in the future. You choose a new path. You run some new code. You make a change. That's a fork. At the same time, you also have the ability to split off, and some people may stay on the one path, the original path, and some people may go on the new path. And that type of hard fork is what happened between Steem and Hive. There are some people who choose to still walk the Steem path. That still exists. But also some people split off over here like us, and that's Hive. That's a new fork. Now, one thing that I do want to talk about before we get to the end of the show. Hi, Marky. I haven't seen you in ages. I hope you're well. Hope things are going, as good as they can be. And hey, Polar Maestro, I didn't say hi when you popped in. So I've got about 20 minutes left in the show. We've kind of been jumping all over the place. At the start of the show, we discussed a little bit about, hey, Marty. Hey, we discussed a little bit about hard fork timing. We talked a little bit about why this hard fork is taking a long time, what's being included in it, what's going on behind the scenes, why it's hard to figure out what's going on. That was like the first half of the show. Now in the second half of the show, I'm back from vacation and I'm super behind and I haven't answered all my messages and I'm a big disaster and today's show had no plans. So in the second half of the show, we've been talking a little bit about HBD. We've been talking about how the economics of HBD works or doesn't work. We talked about what they are, what a debt ratio is, where the print rate comes from, what the haircut rule is. From there, we moved into talking a little bit about onboarding. We talked, and that's basically where we've been. We've been talking about some nebulously connected onboarding stuff. Who's ignoring you? I'm confused. Oh, Mark. So that's kind of where we're at. We're coming up to the last 20 minutes of the show. Now, for those of you who are, still kind of newbies, many of you guys attended the very first newbie night. It was super informal. We all just sat around in general chat. We brought the newest of the newbiest noobs that ever noobed a noob. And we talked about really, really basic blockchain stuff. Like really basic blockchain stuff. Because we forget that people jump in and they fit in so good and they're our buddies. General Lax is asking, why is Bittrex under maintenance for Hive withdrawals and deposits? Apparently they had their node crash and they're replaying. And that's really, really fucking slow. So that sucks. There's nothing we can do about it. And it's going to take however much time it takes. This is another reason that this next hard fork matters. Because we have slim exchange nodes. We have smaller resources. We have, they're dum-dums. Say what you want, but as node operators, they've got 6,000 coins. Can't they bootstrap? They're trying solo. They're actually trying from some actual block logs and some checkpoints, but I don't know. That's the reality is we have exchanges who are not, honestly, they're running a bajillion nodes and they just don't care. And so what really fucking sucks is up to this point, replays take a long time. Resyncs take a long time. No, bro guy, let's be realistic. You're right. There probably is some extra stuff beyond that. But they have also, their node has crashed. So, there's that. But the reality comes down to we are making that hard for them too. There should be slim exchange nodes. There should be easier to spin up their own instance. And this is something we've been talking about on the show for ages, and something that is a part of this upcoming hard fork is the ability to spin up a node and only have it take a couple hours. And it shouldn't be taking up the massive amount of resources that it does. Right now, we say, hey, if you get deplatformed, or if somebody on one of the interfaces blocks you, well, you should be able to spin up your own node and protect your own content, protect your own followers, and be able to, take that personal responsibility and use the blockchain. But we don't make that super easy. And that's going to fucking matter. Yes, Solo's saying, dude, most master nodes take like 12 plus hours to sync. Yeah, well, there's 12 plus hours, and there's like 3, 4, 5, 6 days. But if you're not running, if you're not running the proper type of build, and you also don't know how to do it, and you're just following poor instructions, and you have a really resource intensive node that needs a bunch of superfluous shit that has nothing to do with your exchange, that's dumb. That's really dumb. And we've been fixing that. That's something that's going to be fixed in this next hard fork. So again, does that matter to the basic person? Doesn't feel like it. But all of a sudden, when you want to go to an exchange, and an exchange can't just get back up and running quickly, they're working with Gandalf right now. So to me, that basically just tells me how fucking retarded they are, because Gandalf can explain to anyone. So what it really comes down to is we need this. We desperately need this. And it's just been fucking problematic. It's been fucking problematic that we've had to wait so long. Yeah, exactly. We talk about how hard it is to onboard, but people will spin their nodes to make their own front end to stop censorship. That's exactly my point, Marco. That's exactly my point, is we have these tools. It can't be easy, but we should be making it as easy as possible. That matters. And when we say, here's a selling point for this blockchain, we have to back that up with something that's actionable, right? Pretty much. All right, so we've basically, Jesus Christ, we've played almost no music. We have talked about very little. I think we've hit only like 3 topics in today's show, but it's been super well attended. There are people all over the place. I hope that some of the stuff we've discussed today has helped. Now, I wouldn't mind doing another newbie night. For those of you that came, it was great. It was super, super useful. We got to go, nipples, this guy says. This guy. So we got to go back to some really basic blockchain questions. We got to go back to just like the itty bitty baby birth of a blockchain type of questions. And the reality is we don't get to do that very often. And so, yeah, some of you guys were there. It was really fun and it was super informative. And I fucked it up. I did not have on my OBS, I did not have my microphone recording, and I didn't even know that. So Marco was like, hey, P.S., you had a recording and you didn't say anything. So I completely fucked it up. I don't have a recording of it. And everything that happened and that we talked about was immediately lost. Oh God, it was beyond amateur hour. It was worse than amateur hour. And in fact, on top of that, not only did I not record my own voice, at some point, the camera, for whatever reason, froze. And it didn't just freeze. So what I didn't realize, because I was just chitty-chatting with people, just hanging out, paying attention to the Discord, because it wasn't a formal show, my face was frozen on the screen like this. This is what my face was doing. And that was it. It was just, there was nothing on the screen, just my fucked up face. I mean, my face is a disaster to begin with, but then it was just like, it was, oh God, it was atrocious. It was absolutely atrocious. So yeah, more accessible. I like that. I like that. Root draws, that's exactly it. I am a fallible human that is approachable and understandable in my faults. And it's 100% intentional all the time. This is all planned. All of this beautiful disaster. Yeah, No. So I wouldn't mind doing another newbie night. Now, for a lot of people, like, we're never going to find a perfect time. I'm on the West Coast, and I'm the westiest of coasts. Not just the West Coast, but like the westiest. And what that means is for people in, scripted maybe, for people in Europe, for people on the East Coast, timing is tough. Timing sucks. It's hard. I recognize it because for me, it's still quite early at night. For people like Marco, it's 4 a.m. For people on the East Coast, it's midnight. It's problematic. But I would like to do another one, and I would like to invite all you guys, if you are working with brand new people who, we have great tutorials, we have amazing communities, we have posts, we have videos, but there's something about, can you just hop in a chat room and have just a back and forth, person to person conversation? Can we just literally like sit back, both of us have a beer and we just talk? Can we do that? And that's what this was. So I'd like to do it again. I'd like to have another newbie night. And I would like to kind of invite you guys to, if you know people who that's how they learn best, or, oh, don't simp. I don't know what's, okay. Simping, I don't even understand anymore because it just, apparently just being nice to any human now is simping, and that seems dumb. Yeah, exactly. She's Atlantic time and she's got 2 young kids. And so that's really problematic. And I'm trying to reach out with you guys. I'm going to try and scatter out these newbie nights at times that are more accessible to everyone. So we'll do another one. And I'm wondering if I need to fart and then go to bed. Yes, sir. So I'd like to do another one. The Tuesday night does work really well, a little bit later. I don't know how that'll go. We'll see how it'll go. Maybe we'll spread the word. But if you guys have a time or a date that works well for you, or you have a suggestion, if you have a suggestion on how to make a more successful newbie night, if you want to pair it up with your community, or you have a specific person that you want to, whatever. If there's some part of you that wants to kind of help out with the newbie night, let me know, and I will make myself available, and we'll just chit chat. And hopefully, Krim is our Belle Delphine. Oh no, she's, shout out to Belle Delphine, because that chick is a goddamn mercenary. She will do anything for money. She will fuck you up, and she has absolutely no fucks to give. She'll take your money. And that's that. And I'm definitely not that. I'm not, I think I say this every show. I'm not the influencer body type, shall we say. And I don't like attention. Not that way. And I really, I hate advertising. I hate advertising myself. I hate advertising all of my stuff. And you know what? It's fine. It's fine. I don't know. But like, respect. That chick is a fucking mercenary. And she probably makes buttloads of money and sleeps very well on piles of money at night. So I'm not too worried about Belle Delphine. And, mad shout out. I think that all sorts of fun, erotic or sassy content is good. I'm not cut out for it, friends. I'm not cut out for it. What can I say? All right. So that being said, if you are looking for some fun stuff, Root Draws does some sassy erotic comics that might scratch an itch for you. But otherwise, we're coming up to the end of the shows. I've only got crim sweat. What? I actually have a picture of from climbing that mountain. My whole back is just covered in sweat. Oh, it's the worst. All right, so. Oh, hand grenade, subscribe. Thanks. I haven't got my overlay yet, but by next week I'll have the overlay. So I don't know, something will come up. There'll be like a crim dab or something on screen when people subscribe. So thanks, man. So let's finish up the show, and maybe we could talk a little bit more next week, like we should have. We could talk a little bit more about, no, we didn't figure out the date for newbie night. I'm potentially maybe floating Tuesday. How about Tuesday the 18th? Why don't we put it a week out? Tuesday the 18th, perhaps. I'll make a post maybe or something like that. Oh, yeah, you guys are beaking me for doing 2 shows a week and not liking the attention. Yeah, but this feels small and nice, and it feels like sitting with my friends and like we can beak each other and we know each other. And I do always have people, like new people, come by on the Twitch and then we become friends and it doesn't feel weird. So maybe, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I do. Maybe I love the attention and I'm a disaster. I don't know. I can't figure it out. This is different. So I'm going to be Lucifer cast out of heaven. Cool. Just put my titties on me. All right, so listen, we're coming up to the end of the show. We'll try Tuesday the 18th. There absolutely is audio. I'm missing no frames. Everything's fine. It's probably the bot. So hopefully, for those of you who are watching somewhere else, you can still hear because, again, 0% drop frames. I'm not dropping. For those, confirm for somebody who's watching somewhere else that the everything is fine. Please. Because I'm going to... I'm going to have to catch you all up. It is. It's all good in the Twitch hood. Exactly. Not my fault. Boom. So, listen up, friends. Listen up. You've got lots of places you can watch. And this is something that I probably should mention, and I meant to mention and didn't. So, right before the end of the show, I'm trying to keep an eye on the current time. I'm going to be creating a website for the show. There are lots of places you can watch. MSP Waves is number 1. Obviously, that is what has empowered me to become your favorite, annoying, doesn't like attention broadcaster. But MSP Waves is one. That is our social interactive broadcasting network. It is powered by Hive. MSPwaves.com. You can find the full schedule there. You can learn when to avoid me. The second would be Vim TV. Vim TV is a live streaming solution that is powered by the Hive blockchain. That's cool. You can watch there as well. You can also, oh God, everything's backing up, but that's fine. I'm going to keep talking. So you can also watch on Vim TV. You can watch on Theta, which is another blockchain solution. I have a YouTube channel that we're streaming to YouTube. I also have a Twitch. I'm streaming to Twitch. You can pick any of these things. You can watch wherever you want. I don't care where you watch. You can listen in again later. You can avoid me entirely. You have options. All right. So now that we've come to the end of the show, we've saved all the fuckery for the end of the show. Should we talk right to the end or should we play some music? I mean, people used to come for music. Then people said I didn't talk enough. Then people said I talked too much. Now people say they won't come because they say I'm the devil. Then they say I'm part of the witness cabal. Then they say I'm Bernie's bitch. And then thank you, the ISDD. Oh, I've missed you. I haven't seen you in a couple weeks. I was on vacation. I hope you're doing well. So the reality is I've fucked everything up and nobody wants music anymore unless they yell and want the music. I don't come for the music. Fair enough. This is my life. I love Synthwave and I wanted to make it a piece of the show. I love sharing it with you guys. I love it. It's fun. It's a big part of my life too. When is my next hit single? Never. It's never. I was never going to even record that. That stupid song, that toss a vote to your witness, that I recorded that because Gandalf and I were having a chat one day. We were DMing each other and he joked about it. And I said, I'll record that for you. I will sing it for you. And I did. And I sent it just to him. And then he made this big fucking deal about it. And then I said, fine, I'll fucking post it. And the second I post it, oh my God, you guys, the regrets. Oh God, now it's in chat. Look at my face. Clay made that. Clay made that amazing picture of Crim Dandelion. Crim Dandelion, Dandicrim. It's pretty amazing. It's a quality Photoshop. Yeah, and as soon as I hit post, oh, no, not no regrets. Every regret. Millions of regrets. Immense amount of regret. And it was fun. And now it's like a little time capsule because obviously shit went fucking sideways after that, didn't it, friends? It did. All right, so tentative date for the next newbie night. We can get together. We can advertise it a little bit together. We can do whatever we want. Tentative August the 18th on Tuesday night. We'll touch base with it on another day. And we've almost come to the end of the show. So thanks for being here. I've been off for a couple weeks. I was taking a vacation, refreshing the brain, because honestly, I noticed that I was getting really frustrated with everything Hive. I was getting really frustrated. And I also felt a lot of roadblocks in my own thinking, and that vacation was really, really necessary. And I know everybody's getting there because we're in a weird world where everyone's telling you what to do, where to go, you know, and that fucking sucks. So I hope you get some time off. I hope you get some time to think. Thank you. I'm genuinely a disaster. And then sometimes I tell you guys things and I regret it. Like, I've cried on this show before, and also a mistake. Definitely regretted that. And also, that's just one of those things where, like, I will say something that if it comes out of my mouth and the exact same words came out of somebody else's mouth, people would treat them very differently. So at the end of the day, the blockchain is this disastrous path full of traps, and I choose to walk it nonetheless because I love it and I love you guys, and I think there's so much to learn here. And that part really matters to me. So when people ask, there's no crying in Synthwave. So when people ask, why are you still here? It's because I can't look away. I love what this represents. I think the creation of value and the ability to share and move and transact in value and the ability to become self-sovereign, self-sufficient in any modicum of our digital life matters. And I think Hive is a key to that. And I think there's so much more we can do. And also, I've made some of my best friends in my life here. So we're coming up to the end of the show. Yeah, that includes you guys. Absolutely. I'm here every Saturday. I'll be here next week. I'll be here on Thursday for Full Force Radio. Find the entire schedule at mspwaves.com. But for now, I'm done. There's lots more shows today. Check them out.